Hello my friends, my name is Tim Johnson. Happiness. It's the holy grail, isn't it? We're all constantly chasing it. Thousands and thousands of books written on it and how to achieve it. Videos, experts, self-help, trying to reach this elusive feeling of happiness. So what actually is it? I spent years trying to understand what it was, because we all want it, whatever it is. So I spent years chasing it, as we all do, and many of us do anyway. Had this massive hole inside of me, caused by many things, which I won't go into in this video, but I chased this feeling of this happiness with chemicals, drugs and alcohol. I chased it with material things, money. You know, I had a wonderful, beautiful family, and have a wonderful, beautiful family, not had. Everything I could have always wanted. From the outside, success. You know, someone looking in would say, you know, that man should be walking around with a massive smile on his face, beaming. But it's not like that, is it? Because you cannot achieve it. As you probably know, you can't achieve it from outside yourself. It cannot be achieved from outside with material things, with money, with chemicals, with approval from other people, with you know, instant gratification, if you like, because that's not lasting. It has to be found inside of yourself, and particularly when you come out of addiction. You know, because you've probably been chasing that feeling of well-being and hiding from the world in your addiction for many, many years. When you first come out, it's really difficult because, you know, you're still not fixed. You have to try and find that what it was you were looking for and heal that hole inside of yourself. It took me many a month. But in this video, I just want to share with you my 4 pillars of happiness and what I think it is, very quickly, because that's a massive subject, isn't it? For me, happiness isn't about walking around with a massive grin on your face all the time, because that's not realistic. It's not truly happiness, is it? You know, and it would drive people crackers, no doubt about that. I prefer to think of it as a feeling that you carry around with you of well-being, satisfaction that all is well with the world and yourself, and that you're doing your best. And it's taken me, you know, a while to achieve that, but I feel now that, you know, if that's happiness, then I'm at the point where I'm happier than I've ever been in my life, and content, and have this feeling of well-being that I carry around with me. And that's not been easy to achieve, you know, and I'm not being glib about this, because we're talking about many things: mental health, addiction, depression. To dig yourself out of that deep, dark hole, because I was in it and I understand it, is bloody hard, gut-wrenching sometimes. You have to be a warrior and fight. But these 4 pillars will help you. This philosophy that I discovered and maintain, because consistency and self-discipline with this is truly important to achieve results in the end. The first pillar is the philosophy itself. When I first got sober, I knew about it before, but I discovered Stoicism. And Stoicism was discovered by the Greeks. It's a Greek philosophy. The Stoics were 3rd century BC Greeks whose philosophy was based in truth and logic and fate, basically, and living with fate. And their philosophy has formed the foundation for my happiness. You know, this thought process that the Stoics, please, I urge you to look at Stoic philosophy. But the main pillar of it, this first pillar, this foundation, the Stoics believed the only 2 things that in life that you could ever control were your thoughts and your actions. And that's so true. And for many years, I fought hard against that, as many others do, thinking I could control what people thought of me, how events were going to unfold, that the whole world was against me, that things were happening because of me, etc., etc. And that drags you right down and stops you from achieving any sort of peace, happiness, whatever you want to call it. They also had a saying which I've lived by for these last 4 years of sobriety, which is, I try to live my life or living your life in easy accordance with fate. And to understand that is extremely important, because you can only control your thoughts and actions, but living in easy accordance with fate means that, yes, there's going to be shit happens, there's going to be bad things happen, terrible things happen sometimes, but also going to be great things and moments of great joy and happiness. And basically what they're saying was that it's the thoughts and actions you control and how you react to those highs and lows in your life is your basis for happiness, basically, because you can't control outside events. You can't control what people think of you. You know, you can't control how other people behave, whatever. It's impossible. Yeah, obviously, you know, so to live in easy accordance with fate is to ride the highs and lows, control your thoughts and actions, and how you react to those things is extremely important. That's not easy to do, but essential to try and find any sort of peace and happiness. And the other thing is, they always believed always your best. So basically, if you know in your own mind that you're giving your best and you're trying to react in the best way you can, and you're controlling or working towards your thoughts, because it's not easy. So as long as you give your best, you can have no self-hatred or regret, or because it's all you can ever do is give your best to these situations. And that's the main foundation. If you can just, you know, that's a simple explanation of Stoic. There's many other things in Stoic philosophy which will be useful for you. But those things, to live in easy accordance with fate, thoughts and actions, always your best, is essential as your basis to try and find this elusive happiness. The second pillar is gratitude. I always bang on about it, and I'll cover these next three quite quickly because I've talked about them before, but they're essential, these 4 pillars. So once you've got that Stoic philosophy embedded in there and you're living that sort of life, gratitude, writing a gratitude list every day, thanking your God for small mercies, because neuroplasticity, which is a new science, well, relatively new science, means that you can literally reprogram your brain by feeling simple gratitude every day. Write 3 things down you're grateful for when you wake up in the morning. The first one, that you've actually woken up, because many people don't. That you've got water, you've got food, you've got a roof over your head, because many people don't. Which reminds me, please support my 1,000 miles in 50 days walk coming up next month. I'll be setting off at the end of the month or beginning of March. There'll be a link below to click. Please help me if you can, because every penny goes to change people's lives that are vulnerable. So please do that if you can. Gratitude, yeah, thank your God for small mercies, because people don't have a roof over their head, people don't have a meal coming to them, people are scared, vulnerable, dying. So just be grateful that you're alive, and you have some family or people that care about you if you have, because again, that's a total blessing. Reprogram that brain. The third pillar, essential, but I'm not going to go into it. I've got loads of videos on this. Please subscribe and look at the other videos. Diet and exercise. The third pillar, essential. Once you've got these things in place, look at what you're eating, because literally food can be medicine. If you take food like medicine, then you won't be taking chemical medicine, because you won't need to as much, because literally you are what you eat, and your mood, your energy, your happiness, everything depends on what you put into your body. And that's not just food, whatever you put into your body emotionally as well, like thoughts and actions and stuff like that, and what you digest. So gratitude again comes into that. So diet, exercise, the best therapy for happiness that there is. Get yourself out. It takes self-discipline, it takes motivation, it takes energy. Initially, when you first get sober, it's bloody hard, but a 10-minute walk in the fresh air will lift your mood. That's science, that's not woo-woo. and then it goes from there, and it's like a snowball rolling downhill, and you get this feeling of well-being from it that your endorphins give you. And finally, this giving service if you can, helping other people, because your self-esteem, I hated myself for many, many years. I couldn't even look at myself in the mirror. Hated the person I was. I was selfish. I was a liar. I was I'm not a nice person in my own mind, although I probably wasn't as bad as I thought I was, because self-hatred's a thing that grows as well, But giving service, having empathy, even if that's, you haven't got time to volunteer and stuff. I'm lucky because I've got time to give some hours every week to people who are vulnerable, and to give back and pass on my experiences, because that gives you a massive lift, a massive boost. But it could just mean walking across the road and talking to an elderly neighbour who hasn't got any company. It can mean smiling at someone in the street. It could mean giving a homeless person the time of day, a smile, and buying them a sandwich and a cup of coffee. Giving service is thousands and thousands of ways you can do that. And that's the 4 pillars. There's more, obviously, and look at my other videos for more and more guidance. But these 4 pillars are essential. That's the Stoic philosophy, the gratitude, the diet and exercise, and the giving of service. And you will find an inner peace and an inner feeling of well-being that you probably never knew existed before, that you were looking for outside of yourself. Joy is not in things, it is in us. And another one of Stoic philosophy, by the way, is we should not fear death, we should fear never having lived. And that's a very true thing as well. So thank you for listening. Thoughts on Happiness. Much love to you all. Carpe diem, seize the day today. Please click my link below and support the challenge that I'm undertaking for vulnerable and homeless people. It doesn't commit you to anything, clicking the link, but just have a read through, and if you can afford to give a few pennies, I will be eternally grateful. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.